This is the sound of now.
So each year on The Sound of Now, we pick out a bunch of artists that we think are about to do amazing things, and they make our rising artists list for the year. In the past, that has been like Wet Leg in 2022. 2023, we called it for Chapel Roan, like 9 months before the album came out. Then we had her on the show. Wild. 2024, a bunch of Australian artists. 2025, artists like Charlie and Rose Gray. 2026... on that list, artists like Eli, artists like Adela, and Erin LeCount was at the top of my list. Oh. I have been such a fan of yours for a minute. I'm so thrilled to finally get her in the studio. Erin LeCount, welcome to The Sound of Now.
Oh my goodness, I'm honoured to be here. Thank you. That's a crazy list. Those are all, I mean, Eli's incredible, Adela, incredible.
I mean,
you guys have a great track record.
Thank you.
Very honoured.
And I agree as well. Like yourself, incredible. I know that you've just had your very first performance in Australia last night in Melbourne. We were there. We were all there. How are you feeling now? Because you've had like kind of 12, 16 hours to kind of absorb all of the energy that happened last night. How are you feeling about it?
It always takes me a minute, and I go to bed and I definitely absorb so much more energy from those rooms than I think I do. Every time it surprises me when I haven't done shows in a while, and I laid in bed last night, I could still feel like the butterflies in my stomach. It was a really special show for me though. Like that was a really, really beautiful, warm welcome, and it's wild. I feel so far from home, and it's one of the warmest welcomes I've had anywhere. It was really beautiful. I'm so glad you were there.
I don't know if you've been worded up on kind of the history of the venue that you played last night, the Forum too. So it started out as a cinema. Of course, you have the song Cinema.
Yeah.
Like in the 20s. And like the first film ever shown there was a Clara Bow film, right?
Oh my God.
Then in the 60s, they bricked in the dress circle upstairs to create a second cinema. That was the one that you played in last night in Forum 2. Then it got taken over by a church group in the 80s who kind of, the place was in a bit of disrepair. It was not handled well. Then it got refurbished and turned into a music venue. So all these different themes.
Oh my God.
Across.
That's so fated.
You're right. And is that part of maybe why you felt so at home there despite being as far away as you were?
I knew some of the context of the place, and I knew it had a pretty rich history, and I knew some of the more recent history. I knew that there was some very special like Ethel Cain shows there.
I was one of those as well.
Oh yeah. But I did not know the history going back that far. That's incredibly fateful. That's quite scary in some ways. That's really beautiful. We did get a little look at the creepy like projection room at the top. So I guessed it had been a cinema for some amount of time, but that's the stars align sometimes, and rooms definitely have a feel to them and like a personality of their own. And it was a mix last night of, okay, there's really, really beautiful people in this crowd giving so much energy, and that's really beautiful, but there's definitely something in the walls as well.
I mean, could the something in the walls have been maybe the ghost of Flow Rider? I know you played Low as one of the songs just before you came out. Tell me about the logic behind that. Was that just one of your like high rotation on playlists? Like give me a bit of insight into that.
So before every show, we play Low by Flow Rider. That is my instructions every single time. And it came from, obviously, iconic line, not so much the apple bottom jeans. I'm usually sporting a skirt, but boots, and then with the fur, I'm usually in some combination of the two. And also it's just a great sort of like false start to a show that gets sort of emotionally heavier as you go on throughout it. So it's quite nice to give people like a final hurrah, and they can have a dance and a party. And there's also just the last chorus of it. I can't listen to the song in any other context than a live show now, because the last song, all the bass drops out, and you've just got Flow Rider like apple bottom jeans, and it now feels like upon hearing that last chorus and Flo Rida's voice,
Oh my gosh.
my stomach like drops, because I know, like, I associate it with like I'm about to go on stage, I'm about to do a show.
You're getting a Pavlovian response now
Yes,
to Flo Rida.
I've been classically conditioned to Low by Flo
That is
Rida
incredible.
to go on stage.
Are there any of your songs that you have that similar kind of classic conditioning that's happened? Like, when you start a certain song, you feel a certain way in your body?
Oh my goodness. Silver Spoon, because I know that I weirdly get the biggest rush of adrenaline the moment that I leave stage. And Silver Spoon, as soon as that kicks in, there's a part where I play the bass at the start. And as soon as I hit that key, I'm guessing, I've never run a marathon, but I'm guessing it's like when you're in that final, I don't know, quarter or like final few kilometers, and your whole body just kicks into gear of like, okay, it's time to like everything you got now. And that's always a fun feeling. And I mean, honestly, I start the show with I Believe, and it's a completely stripped back vocal. I start completely a cappella, and I get a little note in my ear telling me what note I start on, and that's always the most terrifying note. It's just like I just hear one piano key in my ear, and that makes me...
It's like when people hear the start of Welcome to the Black Parade.
Parade.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. That's the feeling it gives me, except with slightly more, even more fear. It's just 10 times.
Well, talking about I Believe, this might actually be a good point to bring in our producer PJ.
Yes.
17-year-old producer
Hello.
PJ on the show, and also music producer in their own right. Now, we were in the line at
So
the front of the
sick.
show last night, and you said, I have never heard a single Erin LeCount song in my life, and I don't know what I'm about to see. And I'm like, perfect. This is great. This is going to go really well. And I want to show you the photo of maybe like 30 seconds into your set of PJ witnessing you performing
That
for
is
the
not
first
staged.
time.
That's
100%.
incredible.
Jaw on the floor.
I mean, that's what we want, right? I mean, I'm flattered. That's so cool. That's so
PJ,
cool.
do you have a question that you want to ask
Yeah.
Erin?
Well, I mean, I know that you are quite like into a lot of the sort of more instrumental and production of it all. And I heard that yesterday you got to play that synthesizer.
I got to play on a Fairlight synthesizer. Is that the one you're talking
Yes.
about? Yes. I went to the Synth Temple.
Oh.
In, where is that? Someone tell me. I went
The
to the
team are Googling furiously.
I honestly have no geographical context of where I am most of the time. But I went to a place called the Synth Temple. It's the most incredible. You have to go. I think you'll love it. And I got to play on a real Fairlight synthesizer. And my North Star hero is Kate Bush, and that synthesizer was all across Hounds of Love. And so much of what she did. And I honestly was a kid in a candy store. It was one of the best days of my life. But yeah, you should. I highly recommend. It was a transformative experience for me.
That's awesome.
I have so many questions for you about production and what you work in.
go.
I'm so fun.
Go
What do you
ahead.
work in?
Oh, well, I mean, it's kind of difficult to explain. I do like a lot of mashups and stuff, but I
Sick.
also kind of do like, it's really difficult to explain this next part. It's like, I do kind of like humorous beats with like a lot of samples that sound really bad.
PJ won't admit this, but
Love
they were
that.
a finalist in a goofy beat competition that was happening on another radio station.
Goofy beat competition. Where do I enter? Where do I sign up?
I'll forward on their details. I think a lot of
That's
people listening will
really,
know
really
the
cool.
station by name, but I don't think we can mention them.
That's really, really cool.
How did you teach yourself production? Tell us about that story and how that came together.
I got into production on GarageBand for free on my laptop. It didn't feel like I was it didn't feel like some great endeavor of I'm becoming a producer or anything like that. It felt it felt like playing a video game, to be really, really honest with you. It felt, I'd been singing for so many years. So much of my relationship to making music was about performing to a room full of people and gauging their energy and like, what do these people want from me? Especially when you're playing like empty bars and clubs and rooms and stuff. You're just trying to deliver people what they want. Not necessarily anything that you have autonomy or decision over. And so when you put headphones on and you plug into a laptop and you're completely on your own, it was like, what? It was like, I can make something goofy. I have complete control to make anything that I want. And it was just I don't know, it was like a creative power trip. And then it became this personal, really cathartic thing. It was like it itched this part of my brain where my hands need to be moving, I need to be doing stuff, but I also need to be in some kind of flow state and creating. And it's the only thing I can lose hours and hours to, and just something about it just clicks with I think the way my brain and my body work as a person, if that makes sense.
You've definitely spoken before about combining the arty side and the technical side of your brain when you're producing a lot of your music. Do you find in that production that's where that kind of nice spot in the Venn diagram comes in? It's
a perfect Venn diagram. And as I think it's really fun when you can trace back things you love as an adult to things you loved as a child. And I was a complete nerd as a child, and I had a phase where I was really, really into coding.
Oh, hell yeah. What kind of things, like robotics, or are we talking like...
It was, I remember like dabbling in Raspberry Pi and then getting into a bit of Python. And I remember not going out at break and lunchtime because I was coding a calculator, which I made sure everyone was really aware of and told everyone about. It was completely insufferable. I was probably like 8 or 9. And... just pretentious. And I couldn't do it now if you asked me, but I loved that so much. Again, the idea of hands moving, brain ticking, flow state weirdly. But I also wanted to be an author and I wanted to write books, and that was my life goal really, was I just loved writing stories. It sort of lived in my head completely. So what I'm saying is I was pretentious and I was also a compulsive liar.
That's one spin on it. My next question is, when are we seeing a book? Because I know you're putting a lot of that energy into the lyrics, but yeah, I mean...
it's the dream. I would really, really, really love to write books for real, and that's definitely a full circle goal I'd like to come back to. But yeah, that Venn diagram and everything I loved as a kid, I've sort of found this beautiful mesh point of, I get to write stories and lyrics. My hands get to go at a computer, and I get, that sensation and dopamine of dragging things around a screen, and it's really beautiful. And then you get to do it live in front of people and put on a show and a song and dance, which is sort of, I've really landed my dream job.
Yeah, it is really something else seeing it live. And I think for people who maybe haven't seen the live show, they might have seen this video that you put online a couple of weeks ago. It was the cinema in session, and it was kind of capturing your experience of creating this music. Yeah. Talk us through how that came together and the idea behind that.
The cinema, we did a live version of it purely because, we'd been playing these shows, and it's so, it puts a different spin on the music. And I do these shows and have been doing these shows for the last year, less than a year, but without a band. And I do the shows alone because it felt like a good representation of how I make the music. And making music is very, I don't know, it's quite an internal, like introspective thing for me. So it felt right that the show was the same feeling, and we decided to do a live video to share that to maybe anyone that can't come to a show and see that happening in real time. And also we just put a bunch of cameras, it was like 7 cameras around me and all my synths and all my equipment, And we just wanted to put this super meta lens on what it looks like when I'm at home in that kind of weird flow state, like jumping between instruments and pressing keys sort of like madly. And it was really, really scary. It was such a beautiful thing to watch back, because I get no perspective of like what I look like. Like I really was building everything out in that song, bit by bit, and watching it back, I do sort of look slightly crazy. But the song, The Cinema, is about all the art you wish you'd made, and a sense of imposter syndrome, and sort of driving yourself to madness with all the things that you wish you'd created. And then basically in the video, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, but there's a huge screen behind me. I'm sort of like confronted with myself as I'm making the music. And
I was going to ask, because there's a really creepy, uncanny bit about 30 seconds in where you realize, hang on, I don't think that's a live feed.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a live feed. It's the creepiest, most unusual experience. It was
surreal. It was really weird to do, and to have this literal figure of yourself watching you as you're making the music in real time. But I think that's how imposter syndrome feels. And, you know, me and the amazing director who did the video, Becky, shout out to Becky, we spoke about that feeling so much, and the idea that you go into a room and you're trying to create, and all the pressure is coming from you watching yourself. Like, that's where it's all coming from. And you're so, by being so analytical and just suffocating your own process so much, and this like sort of like looking down that I'm doing from the screen of judgment is really how it feels. And that's all imposter syndrome is.
I'm very much the same in that I've got the imposter syndrome and I've got the perfectionism, and they both kind of come together and they swamp me. How do you deal with that yourself? Like, what's your process to kind of get out of that frame of mind where you're being so critical?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lethal combination, the imposter syndrome and the perfectionism. I think I still try and navigate it, and every time I think I've got it figured out, or a psychological way around it, it pops up in a different form. It's sort of like whack-a-mole. But it really is coming to terms with the fact that none of this makes me better, and none of this makes what I create better. It doesn't make me a better artist to like suffer and labor over these decisions and whether I'm good or not. It's like, it's not up to me really whether I'm good or not. Like, my role and what I do is to make the thing, and that can vary on what it is day to day. And some days that's going to be good, some days that's going to be a goofy beat unintentionally. You know, you'll be aiming for something good and you'll come out with something goofy. But that's as far as my role goes. I think you can't, it's not up to me to decide if I'm the worst or if I'm the best, and to try and figure that out in my own head is never going to serve what I make. And it really is just personal insecurity clouding what you might like artistically be able to do. So I just try to not let it get in the way, but that's so much easier said than done.
I've got goosebumps. Anyone else?
I mean, yeah.
Speaking directly to me is how that feels.
I also hope that a packed room at Forum last night also proved that you've got such a devoted fan base. People on
They're
the
amazing.
opposite side of the world from where you're from. That is so passionate and hopefully reinforce the fact that we all know that you are incredible and you absolutely deliver a show.
Thank
I know
you.
there must be moments that you do get trapped a little bit in your head, and especially when even in your production, it's your own voice that's kind of like vocals now, like synth now, move to other synth. Do you ever find that can sometimes be a bit overwhelming, or how do you kind of manage that? I know you spoke about balance, but having an entire crowd in front of you of people singing back the lyrics and then you've got yourself in your head. How do you manage that?
I honestly think that shows weirdly are one of the few places that, at least in the way I've been doing shows the last year, they're one of the few sacred places that imposter syndrome doesn't creep into as much, because I think imposter syndrome comes when I am thinking about myself too much. And being in front of a crowd of people, and especially nights like last night where there was such just overwhelming energy in front of me, it reminds me that it's so not about me. It's so much more than I am, and I make the music, and I feel very lucky that that's the thing that has, you know, like you said, like brought me to the other side of the world. But music is really just like the bridge between me and all these people who are feeling very similar things at a very similar time under the same roof. And that's like, just on the whole, live music as that experience is a ridiculous concept when you think about just on a base level how unreal that is and how powerful that is, whether it's like 500, 5,000, whether it's a stadium. I think that energy is just as impactful, and I think it's tangible proof. I don't know, when I'm on a stage, that there's so many people feeling the exact same thing at the same time, and I'm more overwhelmed by that than I am the fact that I'm the one on stage.
I want to shift the speed up a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about pareidolia
Yes.
and the concept of pareidolia. You've spoken before about maybe not having elements of synesthesia, that you sometimes can see colours, or, you know, in music that you hear. Is pareidolia like an extension of that in a way?
It really has. I always held back on saying that I had synesthesia because I was like, I was like, I don't know if maybe I'm just being like pretentious and imagining it, and maybe everyone thinks this way about music. But I think pareidolia, especially when I listen back now, it and when I do the live shows, and when I talk about, you know, when we speak about what the videos are going to look like and stuff, it's so clear to me. There's such like a color palette to everything, and there's it's so visual and so sensory. So I would say I've come to I will accept the synesthesia term. I had imposter syndrome to accept the synesthesia term. But yeah, music is just, I think, the way I come at it from the production and the background of wanting to tell stories. It's hard for me to not have an image and a palette in mind.
Yeah.
But so pareidolia was colourful, yeah.
Even still with that concept, you know, are there songs that you see something visually in when you sing them? Anything like cinema? Like, is there something you see in those songs, like, you're performing them?
I think the best example would be something that when we came to doing the live show, I was like, this has to happen because this is the movie that plays in my head when I sing this song, is a song on pareidolia called Don't You See Me Trying. And I put a blindfold on at the start of the song, and that's just always how that song has looked to me. It sort of looks clouded or blurred vision. It's sort of like an altered state. It's like I'm slightly drunk or something. Like the strings in it make me feel like I'm slightly out of my mind and not quite in the right headspace. And so when we did the show, it was like, I have to be in some kind of altered state for it, and I'm not quite at the point where I want to be drunk on stage. So it was like, I've got to have a blindfold. I've got to have some kind of restriction to my vision and senses in this song.
That song has meant a lot to me over the last couple of months. I've been through quite a bit, and so thank you for that song. For those who've not heard the song, tell us about the origins of Don't You See Me Trying and where that came from.
Don't You See Me Trying? I mean, speaking of Kate Bush and, Hounds of Love, Cloud Busting is one of my favourite songs ever. And I listen to that song as sort of a positive affirmation of, the lyric, I just know that something good is going to happen. And I was listening to it every single day, and she has that repetitive string, I just know that something good is going to happen. And in my personal life, I felt the exact opposite. And so I think subconsciously that stuff gets into your brain. And I was writing a lot about, the bigger themes of pareidolia, which is about going back to old coping mechanisms and this element of self-sabotage and this breaking point where you can't tell if it's like this euphoric flying feeling of I have nothing to lose, or if it's this like tip of the iceberg cliff edge kind of I have nothing to lose, and the really fine balance, that blindfolded walking of the edge. And I wrote the whole song to just this one string part, just the same string over and over again, and it was the exact opposite sentiment to Cloud Busting. It was, I think something really bad is about to happen, but it feels, that like instant gratification of like an old comfort or an old behavior or familiar coping mechanism feels so just feels so inviting, and that's the danger of it. And the whole song is just this sort of like frenzied breakdown into I think this is really gonna hurt, and I'm gonna do it anyway, purely because the gratification of it right now I need more than the long term.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Erin LeCount, it has been...
I could talk forever. Sorry, I just keep going.
We can't cancel the rest of the promo tour, unfortunately.
Well, we have to wrap up, but I've got one more question to ask,
yes,
which is on what's next. And you can...
When are you taking over a stage at Lola or Coachella or something?
It's either that, or also, I know for a fact in Essex somewhere there is a hard drive full of maybe unfinished release demos and things like that. When are we going back to that? When are we doing Lola? Tell us about the future. I have countless hard drives, some of which are in my bags in the hotel, and I sit and I'm constantly revisiting stuff on the plane and in sort of like quiet moments. But I really feel in a fruitful time of my life, there's a lot of like input and exciting things happening to me, and I've really felt the need for an output for all of that recently. So the making has been intense, and I think I'm gonna do a small hibernation period and then digest it. And in terms of all the good, exciting things, I think we're gonna come out with a very exciting who knows, next year, couple years, I think. I'm very excited for.
I believe that. Erin LeCount, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Cannot wait to see everything that's about to happen to you. Congratulations on the tour and everything coming your way.